What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Nick 4K video. Today we're checking out a video from Original Paradigms, and his video is titled The Gen Z Overconsumption Problem. Let's check it out.
Y'all thought he wasn't gonna come back? I'm here with my boy Rob. He just financed another Labubu. How much you put down today?
$10.
Yup. How long is your term?
121 months.
Yup. Appreciate you.
What?
Have you ever stood in line for something and thought, wait, why am I even buying this? Maybe it was that new Pokemon card expansion pack that you saw on TikTok, or it could have been your 5th Labubu toy this month hoping you'd finally get your favorite color. Or maybe it was even that perfectly marketed Stanley Cup that just had to be in that pastel blue color. We live in a time where buying things has become the new hobby. I feel like right now, more than ever, consumerism has become a new version of an identity. And especially for Gen Z like me, we've been raised with an algorithm that produces content that later funnels us down to buying something from someone's storefront. This isn't just about Labubus, Dubai chocolate bars, trending blind boxes, or Pokemon cards. It is about the reason why people feel the need to buy things from a psychological perspective. Why do we feel the need to own so many things when we already have so much? We feel like our stuff has stuff, but we continuously want to keep buying things. And although it's fun to get into different hobbies, I feel like buying things shouldn't be the reason why you are into a hobby. So let's start with why modern consumerism works. There are 3 main psychological levers. The first and most obvious is the dopamine cycle. Every time you buy something, your brain gives you a hit of dopamine. The satisfaction feeling that people get whenever they acquire a new thing, it's a chemical. But the issue with dopamine is that it's more closely tied to the anticipation of getting the thing rather than the actual possession of it. So pretty much that feel-good chemical that is going into your brain is from the expectation of getting it. And whenever you do actually get that possession in hand, the high will fade fast. And then
I think that's a level of like it's the anticipation, like he said. I think it has to do with like maybe as we grew up, we had like birthdays and Christmas. The vacation's coming. It's the anticipation to the actual vacation, the anticipation to the actual gifts. It's kind of like when you play a game and you love the grind. You love that level grind. You want to get better armor and better armor. Eventually, you get to the tippity top, and you just lose interest in the game. I also think that there's like a deeper rooted psychological thought process for humans where we always want the next thing. And there's this level of us that can never be satisfied. We are insatiable, right? Like we need to always be doing the next thing, consuming the next thing, and upgrading. So if you look at it from like the psychological point, it's not even that like society is the way it is. Consumerism, capitalism, it's not really even that. It's because deep down, we are hardwired to always want to keep on buying things and improving. Now I use the quotations for improving because in our mind, I have this, I have this, I have this, I'm improving. But doing that is also negative because I buy this, I buy this, I buy this. We view that as like a positive improvement where really we're not only wasting money because we're buying stuff we don't necessarily need because we want it. We're effectively doing negative improvements. So from a certain perspective, we are improving, but we're not doing positive improvements. We're doing negative improvements. We're doing things that are, and I know that sounds like an oxymoron, right? But we're improving our lives negatively. I know it sounds weird. I get it. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. And like I said, because of that psychological need to always have everything, especially Gen Z, who were kind of like coming up in the social media era. Like I'm late millennial, so I did have like the first 10 years of my life didn't have anything to do with social media. And then like maybe when I was like 12, I started making like more social media stuff and eventually got into MySpace and then Facebook and YouTube, all that stuff. Right off the bat, Gen Z was farmed by companies to get them prepared to effectively be adult consumers and to consume. And when you live in a world where profits and consumption are the #1 benefactor for everyone when it comes to companies, specifically companies, but everyone from a certain standpoint, that's dangerous. And you can really fall into that trap. A lot of millennials did, and almost every Gen Z is apparently too. And that's very sad, especially when they're wasting money on things like Labubus. Like, I don't know. All right, let's continue.
Then we have infinite scroll. Every social media platform, especially TikTok, has turned into a digital mall. Every time you scroll, you're just one swipe away from finding that new product that you want to buy. This is centered around instant gratification. There's no checkout lines, no waiting, just press one button and it's showing up to your house in the next few days. And the last is peer influence. Whenever we see someone else buy something, it convinces us that it has some sort of value. And sometimes it's not even necessarily because we actually want it. It's more about the attention, looking cool, and feeling like you got something else that is highly desired.
And like
Think
I said,
about your last impulse buy. Was it
like I said, what he just stated, that's not new. That has been around for a long, long time. However, modern social media has really been able to capitalize on that, especially with people who grew up with phones in their hands. You know, it's just, they're locked in. This is what they've always done. This is what they're going to teach their kids. That's what they're going to teach their next kids. It's actually low-key diabolical. It's also genius. Like, a diabolical genius. It really is.
it something you genuinely planned out and needed? Or was it something that you randomly saw at a store or online and felt like you wanted to grab it that instant? This is not a coincidence. All of these companies do this on purpose as a strategy. And with that, we have to talk about the rise of micro trends. Labubus, trading cards, sneakers, even $50 emotional support watermelon plushies. All of these things are micro trends that have exploded over the recent months. And because of TikTok and other short form platforms, they're spreading faster than ever. These trends come and go really fast, and people want to take advantage of the opportunity by posting content about it. The reason why these work.
Yeah, but don't forget too, girls like this, like she's attractive and she posts stuff online. She probably, I don't know, I'm not going to say she has OnlyFans, but she probably makes a lot of money off of her social medias because she's attractive and she's a girl posting online, right? So she has all that extra money to buy whatever she wants. So, you know, you can't always put yourself in their shoes, especially if you're one, ugly, two, you're a guy, and three, well, you're not interesting, right? That's just one of those things. You know, not everyone can be a handsome, interesting man like me. That's what it is. So pretty much it's super simple. I always say this, but if you really want to make a lot of money, two things. One, be good looking, and two, have no morals, and you can make a lot of money if you're a girl. If you're a guy, 50-50 toss up. I think you could figure it out. But if you're a girl, just be good looking and have no morals, and you could be a millionaire in a month. So there you go. I don't know if you should take my advice, but that is what it is.
Advantage of the opportunity by posting content about it. The reason why these works is because of short attention spans. I mean, think about it. Us as people crave novelty. If a product can spark your attention, even if it's just for a few hours, it then becomes trendworthy. On top of that, we have the amplification of the algorithms pushing out this content. The moment someone posts a product and it performs well on the algorithm, the platform begins to see this content is performing good, people want to buy this product, and then they'll begin to push it out to thousands more people, which just creates a domino effect. And of course, you have to talk about influencers and the creator economy. It feels like most people creating are just salesmen at this point. It's like every video is now a commercial. They're playing into the trends, amplifying this, making people spend money through their links. And I feel like it's just kind of soulless. Like people.
I can't believe people will do that. That is just ridiculous. Anyways, if you guys want to buy any cool movies, make sure to use that link down in the description below. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
They're just selling whatever product is trending at the time. And all of these micro trends are built to feel urgent. There's all of these senses of FOMO whenever they say it's a limited edition item or there's only 500 made of these. And people are buying into this because they want to be on trend. No one wants to be the person who's missing out and feel like they bought into a trend too late.
And
it might seem as simple as just don't play into these trends. But the issue with that is that it's all deeper rooted than that, and it's built into us psychologically. People often think they buy things because they want them.
Okay, so yes, psychologically, but also I think this might be like a level of mental illness. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing if you had a bunch of money and you just want to, you know, buy whatever you want. But like, that's way too many Pokemon stuffed animals. That's just way too many Pokemon stuffed animals. I'm sorry. Ugh.
Most of the time, people are buying things because of the way it makes them feel. And even more specifically than that, they buy into it because of the way it makes them look and the belonging aspect to it. They have social proof whenever they buy into a trend and they become a part of a community. Playing into these trends is essentially saying other people are buying it, so it must mean it's cool. And even if you don't understand the appeal, hearing other people talk about it, it kind of makes you curious and want to learn more about it. Products are being used to signal personality. It's like your outfits tell you a story about your style, your desk setup tells you what your hobbies are. All of these things play into who you want to be as a person. The companies behind these products know this, and they tap into people's real desires: identity, comfort, belonging. But you're no longer just buying a pair of shoes or Pokemon cards. What it really is a feeling. People are using their logic and reasoning to justify their emotional purchases. And with TikTok, shopping for things has become so much worse. And I feel like at this point, it's just escapism. When life gets overwhelming, whether it's work or paying rent or just stress in general, sometimes buying something small and simple can make people feel like they're in control.
Get that happy
A
chemical.
$20
Get that
blind
happy
box
chemical.
toy is a lot cheaper than therapy, and it's a lot more fun to unwrap. For some people, shopping provides structure whenever life feels out of control. It's the same thing as any other addiction. It's like giving short-term satisfaction or comfort whenever you're experiencing long-term stress. You could just get your mind off of things and have fun and just relax in the moment. But this is why people feel empty after doing a crazy shopping haul. And inevitably, whenever reality hits again, the cycle will continue. This is why a new culture of adults buying kids' toys is exploding. More and more adults are buying toys, watching cartoons,
We
and
did a video on
engaging with
this recently.
child-themed products. All of this is built on nostalgia. We see so many grown men going after these Pokemon cards, or some women buying dolls. For them, I feel like they may feel like the future is uncertain, so the past feels safer. And by buying a product that correlates to their past, they feel that emotional comfort.
That's what it is. I mean, a lot of people are just scalping, but there are some people who really spend all of their money on a thing they couldn't get when they were younger, or a thing they had when they were younger that brought them peace. And unfortunately, I think that is a level of mental illness that is attributed to that, because what you're doing is you're effectively putting your faith, your money, your time, your energy into a past that no longer exists. And that's dangerous. That's all I'm going to say.
There are companies who understand this. They are really good at marketing, and they are profiting massively because of this. For an example, think about Pop Mart. This is the company behind all of those Labubus. Whenever they played into the trends, in a single year, they doubled their revenue to over $1.8 billion. Most of their sales are coming from the blind boxes, which is essentially a tactic taken from gambling culture. Their products are designed to be able to continuously pull new items, which is creating mystery, excitement, and then that scarcity aspect. And a lot of other brands are also using this tactic. Think about all the limited edition sneakers, the companies that are doing collaborations with influencers, the artificial scarcity of Pokemon cards, and the drop culture, which is really apparent, especially in sneakers and streetwear. And like everything else, these are all scientifically engineered to exploit the human psychology. The thing about this is that all of this does actually have real consequences. Think about all the crazy amount of financial stress and debt that this is putting people in. On top of that, so many of these products use so much waste. Every time you order something from Amazon, you got to throw all of the extra packaging away. Same with all of the wrappers of Pokemon cards, like most of those can't be recycled. And then people are just feeling like a burnout trying to keep up with all of these trends. And because all of these products are so deeply tied to emotions and human connection, think about like the mental health problems that younger people could get into whenever comparing themselves to others with this thing. Over time, the more you buy, your space becomes more cluttered. You feel more overstimulated the more you just constantly buy and buy. And
I saw that they're going to start doing social media is banned for those who are like 16 and under, and I think it's a really good idea. I just think kids' brains are never meant to see everything they see on social media, whether good or bad, but they're never meant to see all the things they see. So if we can cut that off before 16 and actually make it so it's not like the kid signs on, it says, hey, are you 16? And you say, you just click like a button and you get through. Make it harder for them to actually get on. I think it might be time for that. Someone watching this right now who's not 16 probably mad at me for saying that, but like it's one of those things where, like, I mean, when I was 16, if they would have tried to do it with me, I would have been really mad. But as an adult, as a parent now, looking back, seeing how social media has kind of gotten out of control, we need some type of balance for kids, and effectively locking them out until they're actually 16. That might actually help. I don't know if it will help 100%. It won't fix all our problems, but I do think that it is a solution from a certain perspective.
In the end, you just feel disconnected from the things that you really used to enjoy. I mean, personally, sometimes I even feel that way about sneakers. So I've been collecting for over
I can
10
tell.
years. Sneakers have always been a hobby and passion of mine. I've been creating content around sneakers and streetwear for like 5 years now. And over the years, as I've collected more and more shoes, I've noticed that excitement isn't really there anymore. It's like anytime I used to get a new pair of shoes, I'd be so excited waiting the week before for a package to arrive. And now it just feels a little bit more dull and hollow the more that I get. And
I mean, don't forget, interests change. Like the interest of what you do changes. And I don't know if that's necessarily a, a mental health issue, but as you get older, you realize, shoes aren't that important. I remember there was a span of time like a year or so where I was just buying a lot of shoes because I never really bought shoes, and I was like, these are cool shoes. I like these. And I had like 20 pairs of shoes. And then one day I woke up and I was like, why do I have all these shoes? I use one pair. Why do I have all these shoes? And I just realized like I wasted all this money on these shoes. Now, to be fair, I could use one pair a year for the next 20 years, right? But it was one of those things where it's like, why did I waste the money on this? It wasn't for clout. I didn't really have sneakerhead friends. I had a couple, but not really. I was just doing it because I had the extra money to do it, I guess. And I started thinking about that with a lot of other things too, where I'm always a collector of a lot of things. And for those of you who watch me, the 4K Blu-rays, I'm a collector of those things. And as time has gone on, I've just realized like how much extra collecting I've done without even thinking. And so I've been slowly selling off different collections that mean nothing to me now. Now, there are a bunch of different variables to consider when thinking about it, but I think the most important one is really, are you being healthy with your purchases? Are you making healthy purchases? And I don't necessarily mean like, healthy purchases. Are you buying a sword? If the sword falls on you, yeah, that's not very healthy. But I mean like, are you making them with the proper adult perspective when you buy things? Are you coming at that purchase with maturity? Do you have that extra expendable income to buy said thing? Buying something that gives you joy, gives you hope, makes you feel good, if you can afford it and you're smart about the purchase, I think that's okay. But when you buy something that makes you feel good because, like he mentioned, you can't afford real therapy, or you're effectively chasing that, you're chasing the dragon of nostalgia. You're chasing the nostalgia dragon that you're never, ever, ever, no matter what you buy, no matter how much money, no matter how much time you sink into, you're never going to catch that dragon. Like I said earlier, that time, that place, it no longer exists. And no matter how much stuff you buy, no matter how much money you waste, no matter how much time you put into this situation on, collecting or whatever, you're never going to ever get back to that place. It's just never going to happen. So I think once we start realizing that, and I don't know if that's necessarily everyone needs therapy, but it's very dangerous when people start taking money out of their life savings to go towards their collecting issues. That's where it gets dangerous. That's when it's no longer healthy purchasing or healthy consumerism. That's when it becomes toxic consumerism, and it becomes very, very dangerous, because before you know it, hey, there goes my life savings. Okay, there goes my kids' school fund. There goes my house. And I know it sounds kind of extreme, and that's understandable, but from this perspective, man, it happens to people, and it's very dangerous, and it can happen very, very fast. Now, I don't really know if there is a solution to this problem. I think the easiest way to go about it, well, I shouldn't say easiest, but potentially the best way to go about it would be to, catch it early. Inform kids before they turn 16, before they see social media, before they get bombarded with all these ads and stuff like that. Maybe we teach them the importance of purchasing power, and what maturing means when it comes to having your own money and knowing what you need. Now, with all things, like I always say, I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. Let's continue.
As I began to recognize this problem, I started slowly selling my collection. Since I've been in the hobby so long, I do have a lot of shoes, but I understand there's a difference between having a curated collection and just hoarding. And the problem with this is because of people who constantly post things online.
Look at all those shoes.
Everything is content, and everything is a potential customer to
You
purchase
never need
something.
those shoes.
All of these influencers pretty much see the world through a transactional lens. And I feel like when it comes down to hobbies and overconsumption, it has just been transformed into a culture of surface value. What I mean by this this is that the appearance is overvalued than the substance. The
Oh,
way
look,
things
another
look for
attractive
people's
girl.
followers and the more organized it is matters more than what you actually enjoy. It's like whenever people who aren't into a hobby play into it because of a trend, they're doing it for performative reasons. Building
What the
your
heck?
own
Are this
original
fake
style
Pokemon?
and taste doesn't matter anymore. It's just about looking trendy to validate yourself on the internet. And it's like, man, I get so sick of seeing influencers constantly trying to promote their products. I feel like I can't open social media anymore without constantly noticing how much junk and bullshit is out there. And sometimes I even feel like this in real life. This last weekend, I went to a store called Five Below. And if you've ever been in one,
Five
you'll just be
Below.
riddled with
I love
so
it.
much crap that you don't need. It's like they're all gimmicky, they're all fads, and they're all
Yep.
stuff that are just like playing into trends that are like knockoffs. And I understand this can be appealing to kids or people who are just lower income. And
Their
I think
candy
it's great
deals
that
are
they
good
have
though.
that accessibility. But for me, anytime I just walk into a store and see so much unnecessary stuff, it makes me just want to turn away and never walk in it again. And I
That's
feel like
fair.
it's not just personal anymore, it's more of a cultural thing. If you're following any influencers, I guarantee you that they don't use a lot of the products that they promote. There's so many factors involved in this. But let's be realistic. You cannot escape consumerism completely. We all have things that we genuinely need. And there's
Yep.
nothing wrong with having cool, creative projects or hobbies, but there is a way you can change your relationship with them. If you feel like your stuff owns you, then it is a real problem. Before
Mhm.
every purchase, I began asking myself, do I really need this or am I just bored? And for some people, it could be asking themselves, am I buying this for me or because of the way I want to look online? Over time, I've noticed that I began buying less things.
That's a really good strategy. For me, I looked at it like this: need/want. And I know that's probably what most people do, but like really, sometimes I'll look at something and I go, oh, I want that. And then I start to think about it. And I go, oh, but I don't need it. And instantly, as soon as like my mind triggers it as a want over a need, I don't want it anymore. And I just think like if more people start kind of coming from that type of strategy, not necessarily mine or his, but find their own strategy that works with their brain, people are gonna be a lot better off. There's been times where like, okay, so good example. I used to collect Marvel Legends action figures, and I remember I was collecting them, putting money into the hobby, and I was enjoying myself. And at some point, I was going to buy another one, and I thought about it, and I'm like, what am I doing with these? Initially, I wanted to buy a couple for like a diorama in the background of one of my videos type of thing. That's what the original plan was. But then I started buying more and more and more. Before I know it, I have 2 full totes of Marvel Legends. I've never used them for the diorama, and I was just buying them because why? Because it made me feel good? Not really. I didn't really feel better when I bought them. I wasn't even buying the figures to pose them or like play with them or anything like that. Like I was buying them because I was buying them. Because I had that dopamine hit of them coming in the mail. And what I would do, legit, I would open them up, I'd look at them, and then I'd put them in like a bag with their like accessories, and I'd put them in the tote, and then that's where they would go. And I started realizing that has to be some type of mental illness that I had. And so I identified the problem, I worked on it, and I became a lot better when it comes to purchasing stuff. Now, that said, I am not holier than thou. I do make mistakes still. I do occasionally fall into the consumerism trap. Everyone does. But I think there's a difference between stepping into the consumer trap and truly falling into it. And I think there's that line where you need to effectively be able to walk. Obviously, you're going to need to continue buying stuff. You can obviously buy nothing except for the absolute necessities. I personally try to live more minimalist. That's what I try to do. And so I sold off a lot of my extra collecting and stuff that I was doing on the side. And just try to focus more on, if I need to spend money, is it worth it? You know, and I think if more people start coming from that mentality, you don't necessarily need therapy if you can identify the problem and a good way to fix the issue, and then, you know, fix it. So there you go. That's my little soapbox there. Let's get back to the video.
I've built more of a curated collection of things I'm genuinely interested in that I wear all the time or use all the time, and I just have no need for junk anymore. Most of the time, if I'm buying something, I genuinely want that product, and I know it's going to make my life easier or better in some way. And that is the way that you can start reframing consumption. It's a shift from being impulsive to being intentional. Starting to practice minimalism and curating a small collection of things that you genuinely enjoy. I feel like for me, over time, I've noticed the more that I create, the less I find myself consuming. And a lot of times, whenever you do get into a hobby, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that is really expensive.
And I did the same thing with my 4K Blu-ray collection. For those of you who remember, I had like at one time, I think the majority of 4Ks and Blu-rays all together. I had like 1,000 or 1,200 movies altogether, and since then I got it down to about 200. I was buying every movie I could based off if the deal was good, which I usually found the majority of my things I bought were deals. I added them to my NAS server, and then I just sold them separately. So I still have the movies, but the majority of my physical media that I didn't absolutely want, or movies that I like absolutely love, I sold. So that was also an alternative to kind of go around that.
All of these trends are playing into buying something. But imagine if you got into a hobby that isn't expensive. Think about painting, mixed martial arts, fishing. All of these things are hobbies that you can do for a very low price. They are all things that are intentional and take skill to build and don't require a math.
To be fair, I have one fishing guy, buddy. He pays a lot of money for his fishing stuff. I also have a painting buddy. She pays a lot for her painting and stuff. So I think it comes down to specifically how deep you're going to go into the hobby, because some hobbies can be cheap, but also they can be incredibly expensive. So just wanted to lay that out there.
Massive budget to do so. I'm not saying you have to stop buying things. I'm just saying you should start questioning why you're buying them. But let me know what you guys think about these micro trends and over
Change the mentality.
Are there any hobbies that you found that you enjoy that isn't just playing into blatant consumerism? And if you like content like this, feel free to check out some of the other videos on my channel that are similar to this one. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Wow, so that was a great video, man. Very deep, very well researched. I think what it comes down to is, like I mentioned, it's psychological. And I think the fact that it's psychological, you need to be able to raise yourself to a new standard, or to a higher standard, I should say, and realize, hey, I'm being manipulated. I don't like it. Let me change my ways. Or I'm sure there are people out there who know they're being manipulated and don't care, and they want to keep on doing their own thing, which, as long as they're being healthy about it, I guess that's fine. But yeah, like I said, I can see the argument for why. Like I said, millennials were targeted before Gen Z, and now Gen Z is really targeted, and they've been targeted from birth effectively, which really stinks. And of course, Gen Alpha's next. So I think if we start putting those limitations in now, by the time Gen Alpha's really kind of in the swing of things, which they're starting to get to that point, it might be time put a stop to it. Or if we can't put a stop to it, at least make it harder for people to fall into the trap. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think all this was bullshit, or do you agree with it? Make sure to like, subscribe, turn notifications for more. If you want to check out any more of my videos, they're right here on screen. Go ahead and click those links. Thanks again for watching. I'll catch you next one. Peace.